As of when this is being filmed, there are only 8 days until the British general election, and this is a very important election. This will decide much of Britain's future and its relationship with the European Union and the future of its public services and the NHS. So, if you live in Britain, pay special attention to this video. Admittedly, I'm an American, I live in Kansas, I haven't been to the British Isles yet, but I do follow this very closely, and these are just the suggestions I've made in collaboration with some of my friends in the UK and from research I've done from British sources. So this is not all an outsider perspective, this is me drawing from insider perspectives. Now, if you live in Northern Ireland, just vote for Sinn Féin. That's it. I'm not going to say any more. Vote for Sinn Féin. Now, people in Scotland, England, and Wales, there you have a lot to think about because you will have a number of options. So I'm just going to take a look at some of the issues in this election. Of course, the biggest issue is Brexit. Now, I backed the Remain campaign in the Brexit referendum, and I was a little surprised when it wound up going the other way, and kind of sad. But, they won, I lost, we have to move on. So, Brexit is happening whether you like it or not. That was the will of the British people. Now, what kind of Brexit is what's important? Labour presents, I think, the best plan for Brexit. They are presenting a very strong Brexit deal, or a very strong alternative, which is basically a soft Brexit. They remain in the single market, and they would protect as much that they could of the workers' rights protections, environmental protections, etc., and they would try to stop the Tories' hard Brexit, which would turn Britain into a bargain basement tax haven. This is something that obviously you want to avoid. Now, the Greens and the LibDems, they both advocate a second referendum, and I believe SNP may as well, although I think SNP's main objective here is to secure special status for Scotland or full-on independence. Same goes with Plaid Cymru. They want a second referendum on this, and personally, if the deal is a hard Brexit deal, yes, I would want a second referendum, but I'm not sure this is a good idea. It could just turn out to be a waste of time. It'll probably just go yes again, and I don't see any point. So that's the whole issue there. I think that Labour probably has the best Brexit strategy here, but I think that the Greens do have a lot to offer. LibDems, they just want to avoid Brexit at all cost, and that's their whole goal with the second referendum. No matter what the deal is, they just want to avoid Brexit, and I think that they're fools. And the LibDems cannot be trusted, period. And I'm going to talk more about that here in a minute. After the Manchester attacks, security has become another big issue. And I think that Jeremy Corbyn has said the right thing here with regards to the fact that this is in large part because of British foreign policy and also American foreign policy in the war on terror. The Tories have come back with a very stupid response to this, which is basically they want to turn Britain into a police state is what they're seemingly trying to do. UKIP, what they would do is they would just go forward with what they always want to do and impose more border controls and increase their xenophobic appeals. LibDems, I haven't seen what they're up to yet. I haven't seen the latest debate because it is going on today as of when this is being filmed, so obviously I can't see it. But the Greens are taking a similar approach to Labour in this regard. Personally, I think that they are probably having the best approach to this, and I would support both Labour and the Greens on this issue. Now, the most important issue, in my opinion, is the British economy, public services, and austerity. Now, the austerity policy that the Tories have been implementing over the last few years has failed. Ultimately, it has failed. Poverty has only increased, unemployment has not seen the results that they said it would. The debt and the deficit have not been reduced like they said they would have, and it's just failed in all of its goals. All it's done is made the problems in Britain exponentially worse, and it's clear their real goal there is privatization of things like the NHS. That's what the Tories always want. They want privatization, and it's very important that they stop privatization at all costs. Now, Labour and the Greens, the SNP, and Plaid all have very strong positions on this, and I support all of them on these issues. They will end austerity, they will stop privatization of the NHS, and they would even go further and renationalize the railways. This is something I epically support, and I think that everyone should look into these policies and support as well. Heck, the renationalization of the railways is something that's supported by a majority of Tory voters. If you have a socialist policy being supported by Tory voters, then you should just do it. It's not dumb. It's not rocket science. Seriously. These are just a few of the issues here. Now, the issue of Scotland is another big issue that is very controversial, especially on the left. I personally backed the Yes campaign in the Scottish referendum back in 2014. I wanted Scotland to be independent. I opposed the Act of Union. I would like to see greater devolution for even provinces in England, and for England itself to become an independent nation. Same with Wales, and same with, and I'd like to see Northern Ireland unified with the Republic of Ireland. Now, I think that a Scottish independence is inevitable, and there will be a second referendum in the near future. But in the meantime, Scotland should continue its pursuit of special status within the EU, and the SNP has played a good role in being a main opposition party in Westminster, along with Labour. So here are my recommendations. I'm not one for strategic voting particularly, but in this case, you really need to consider strategic voting here. I'm not saying vote for the LibDems. No, do not vote for the LibDems. They cannot be trusted. As we saw with their coalition with the Tories after the 2010 election, they cannot be trusted under any circumstance. So do not vote for the LibDems. And this only adds to the fact why you shouldn't vote for them. Their leader is terrible. He's a nutcase. He couldn't bring himself to say that being gay is not a sin. That's just ridiculous. He's not even a liberal, in my opinion. And their whole thing is they just want to stop Brexit. They say, oh, we're not going to go into coalition with the Tories, but we also won't go into coalition with Labour. They're going to go into coalition with the Tories, and we all know it. As long as they can get the Tories to promise that they would back out on some of the Brexit things, or at least promise a second referendum. In places like Brighton, the Isle of Wight, and one constituency in Oxford, I cannot remember the exact one, you should vote for the Greens. Hands down. The Greens are the party you need to vote for in those constituencies. And I extremely support anyone who is advocating that instead of vote for Labour, or even if Labour has stood down. I believe there are 3 constituencies where Labour has stood down for the Greens. Although I don't believe any of those constituencies are really competitive constituencies. So return Caroline Lucas, elect a Green MP from the Isle of Wight, and elect Larry Sanders, Bernie Sanders' brother, from Oxford. He's a good man. He has fought for the NHS. He's fought for progressive politics in the US and the UK. He left Labour over when Blair became leader. He's a very progressive man, and I think that people should vote for him and elect him an MP. Now, in many other places, if Labour is more likely to win than the Greens, you should vote for Labour. Even in some cases, if this means you should vote for someone who has Blairite tendencies. Now, hardline Blairites, do not vote for them, period. They're Tories that don't want to admit they're Tories. And so don't vote for them. But you will have to vote for some soft Blairites, soft left guys, Ed Miliband types, people like that. You're going to have to vote for them. And this is important because that's how you're going to stop a Tory majority. Strategic principled voting is how you're going to stop it. In Wales, look at Labour, but also look at Plaid Cymru. I personally would prefer Plaid Cymru. I think they're more reliable, but they're not going to win in all the seats there, so you're really going to have to look at Labour in a lot of places. Now, in Scotland, this is where things will get difficult, and I know there's going to be a lot of people who say, no, don't vote, don't do this. I'm going to say vote SNP. Now, the one Labour MP that's still in Scotland is terrible. He's a Blairite. He needs to go. Vote SNP in that constituency. I forget which one. But most of the other SNP MPs should remain. Mari Black in particular is one that I'm a huge admirer of, and she needs to be returned to Westminster. An SNP, Green, Labour, Plaid coalition would be the best option for Britain, in my opinion. So making that become a reality should be the goal of the left in this election. Jeremy Corbyn as Prime Minister is something that needs to happen if the people of Britain, not the Union, that needs to go. But if the people of Britain want to continue to have these good public services and increase their democracy and see a more progressive and socialist economy, then they need to have Jeremy Corbyn as Prime Minister. And this is only going to happen if you have a left-wing coalition consisting of the Greens, Plaid, SNP, and Labour. LibDems can't be in it. They need to go. So these are just my thoughts. on SNP also, many people are saying, oh, but what about the Scottish Greens? They're not going to win. I'm sorry, they're not going to win. You need to be strategic here. The goal needs to be defeating the Tories and preventing a Tory majority. So this means you're going to have to return a larger blocks. So this means SNP, Greens, SNP in Scotland, Greens, Labour, and Labour in the South, and Labour and Plaid in Wales. That's it. If you're toying with a smaller party, don't do it. It's not worth it. You cannot cost this election for a more likely Labour or Green candidate in the South, or SNP or Plaid candidate in Wales or Scotland. It's extremely important that you don't do this. Now, I'm sure there are going to be lots of other thoughts on this. Many people are going to say, don't vote for the SNP, or don't bother with the Greens, or, oh, but Labour's still filled with Blairites, things like that. Please let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear, and I'd love to hear some feedback. If you're in the UK, remember to vote on June the 8th. Please vote. The goal needs to be to stop the Tories. Stop the Tories, stop UKIP, stop the LibDems. That's what needs to be the goal in this election. And if you don't, then I fear for the people of Britain and for British workers. Remember to go vote. Good luck to Jeremy Corbyn. Good luck to Caroline Lucas and Jonathan Bartley. Good luck to Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP. Good luck to Leanne Wood and Plaid Cymru. Good luck to all the progressive candidates. Good luck to Sinn Féin. I look forward to seeing a progressive government in Britain, hopefully. Thanks for watching, and as always, solidarity.